but I think Ted Kravitz is standing by with a statement that's already been prepared.
Yes, absolutely, Steve. Here we go. ITV Sport has got hold of the official press release. There it is. Look at the top line. Michael Schumacher will retire from race driving at the end of the 2006 World Championship. So it's the news that every Ferrari fan and every Michael Schumacher fan did not want to hear. It's got a load of sort of PR, nice stuff about how he loves Ferrari. And look, even his engineer Chris Dyer hasn't seen this. Chris, well, he is retiring. What's your view?
Well, obviously it's you know, it's been a fantastic time with him, and we'll be disappointed, but it's his decision, and you know, hopefully we can finish the job this year and send him out in the perfect way.
Okay, well, have a good one. Just the last thing, Steve, on here, which is interesting. No mention of Kimi Räikkönen, by the way, but the last line here, we will announce at the end of the year a definition of Michael's new role. So it looks like Michael will still have a role with Ferrari into the future.
Thank you, Ted, and maybe we'll be able to fill in a few more details on all of that in a few minutes' time. We understand that Michael Schumacher will make the formal announcement during the course of the winners' press conference, and what an emotional occasion that will be. We'll be standing by for the announcement from Michael Schumacher that he will be retiring, but he's won this Italian Grand Prix, and he's taken a strong grip in his battle to wrest the World Championship from Fernando Alonso here once again. Race victory for Michael Schumacher in this Italian Grand Prix, but now we stand by for the formal announcement from Michael himself that he's bowing out of Formula One, and we'll be standing by for that. It'll come in the winners' press conference right after this break.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power. F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power.
Amazing day, a great start alongside Nick Heidfeld there, taking second place early on, an emotional scene there on the podium.
Yeah, it's been a very special day, and to finish it in this style as we have been doing today, looking at the championship as well, but much more at what's going to happen somehow in future. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion for a lot of time what concerns my future and so on, and I think all the fans, all the motorsport interested people, they have a right to be explained what's going to happen. I'm sorry it may took longer than some of you wanted, but you have to set a moment, and you have to find the right moment, and we feel this is the right moment. To make it short in a way, this is going to be my last Monza race I'm going to do. At the end of this year, I've decided together with the team that I'm going to retire from racing. It has been an exceptional, really exceptional time what motorsport in more than 30 years has given to me. I really loved every single moment of the good and the bad ones. Those ones make life so special. Particular, I should thank my family, starting with obviously my dad, my passed away mum, and obviously my wife and my kids, who at all time supported at what I was doing, and without their support, without their strengths to survive in this business, in this sport, and to perform, I think it would have been impossible. And I can't be thankful enough, obviously, to my family, but as well to all my mates at the Benetton time, and obviously especially at the Ferrari days, when I've made so many friends. I have so many great guys in that team, and it has been a really tough decision to decide to not work together at this level with all my friends and my engineers and everybody. I mean, they're just so great. And but one day the day has to come, and I felt at a point that this is the moment, as well as in terms of timing the decision, I thought that it was fair to find that moment that Felipe has a chance to decide his future, because I think he's a very great guy. He has been doing a very good job to the team, very supportive, really great teammate, and there was a moment for him to decide for his future, and there was no point for me to take my decision any later than his decision had to be taken, and this was the conclusion as well of, in a way, my future replacement. It's a driver, at some stage the team will tell, but I always was pleased, and I know a long time ago, to hear that he was the person. And now I just like to concentrate on these last 3 wins and make it or finish it in style, and hopefully with the championship. We have done a big step today for that, and I really look forward. And I want to thank everybody who has been on my way or supporting me at all stages. There have been a lot of people. Thank you very much.
I'm sure everyone in Formula One wishes you well in that decision, Michael. Now, just looking back to this great win today, in the early stages behind Kimi, of course, what were your thoughts at that point?
Well, I was hoping that he was stopping a little bit earlier than we would do, and so it happened. And the nature of this track is if you stop earlier, you obviously lose out because you run heavy against the car who's light, and that was enough to get by.
Just enough, but you did get by there, and thereafter it looked to be a race that you were in control. A slight moment there with Scott Speed, I think, going into the first chicane on lap 31, lost a little bit of time there, but otherwise relatively trouble-free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations again in a race in which Ferrari have taken the lead in the Constructors' Championship. Kimi, turning to you, a great start and a pressure, of course, from Michael in the early stages of the race.
Yeah, the start worked very well. I was a little bit concerned about our starting because the previous starts hasn't been exactly good, but the guys did an excellent job to fixing the start system, and everything worked well. So I had a good start, and I was just trying to go as fast as I could before the first pit stop, because I was thinking that they might stop a little bit later. So if I can pull any cap, we have any chance to try to fight for win. But like it turned out, we were not quick enough today, but it was quite easy second. So in the end, I just slowed down and bring the car home and get the second place, and unfortunately that was maximum what we could have had today, but it is still a good weekend, and it's a good way.
Congratulations to you. And turning to Robert, on the podium, third place in your third Grand Prix, a fantastic drive, a lot of fuel in the car, and unbelievably quick off the line with your teammate Nick Heidfeld.
Yeah, I mean, really surprised to finish third. We know that we had good tires for this time for the race, not only for qualifying, as this happened in Istanbul. So we were concerning about qualifying, but when we saw that we can be competitive also in qualifying and go easy into quali-3, I knew that we have the quite good consistent car for the race, and that's happened. Good start. Unfortunately, I locked front wheels in the first corner, so I have flat spot, and first stint was really difficult, a lot of vibration. Then we changed the tires, and it was always tough race because I have to fight with Felipe and Alonso, and also, you know, lapping guy doesn't help me because I was the first one of the group who lapped them, and I lost always 1 second, and then we just came in out of the second pit stop with Fernando, just side by side, and anyway, he blew up engine, and it was really risky because there was oil. Felipe went through, and I think he has puncture or something, and then the end of the race was quite easy for me, just bring the car home, and first podium in my life in Formula 1.
Fantastic result, well done again.
Thank you.
Michael, turning back to the remaining 3 races, you've told us about your future. Tell us about your mindset now as you look ahead to those 3 closing races in the championship, now only 2 points behind Fernando Alonso.
I think it is very easy. What is my mindset? I mean, that is it's difficult to say. It's more focused than ever because I have always been focused on only one thing once I'm in the car, and so is it now. It's a championship which started difficult in the beginning, but we returned to it after another difficulty mid-season, and now we're at 2 points behind with 3 races to go. So if you go back at Canada, nobody would have thought we could be ever in that position. Now we are, due to some luck, but I mean, if you look at the retirements over the year, it's now equal in a way, and there we are. So 100% focus for the Constructor and the Drivers' Championship.
So it's official, it's retirement for Michael Schumacher, and we will stay on the air for an extra length of time to get as much reaction as we can to what is a pretty momentous decision for Formula One and the future of Grand Prix motor racing. Delighted that Murray Walker has joined us, and Mark Blundell, your reaction to the news?
You know, we all sensed it was coming, Steve. I have to say, I've driven against Michael in sports cars, Formula One. He is a unique individual. Obviously, his record speaks for itself. And in some ways you feel sorry because you feel that there's still a lot more to come from the guy. But I think he's made the right decision. I really do. I think as a driver he's going to find it massively difficult to fill his weekends. Sure, there's something else coming for him. We've already sensed that from the Ferrari press release. But, you know, he goes out on a high. And I think that's the best way for any champion.
Murray, is the decision the right one? Has he got the timing right?
I think so, Steve. I'm sad to see the end of an era, because this is one of the truly greatest drivers of all time that we're going to look back on, as I look back on Fangio, and talk about for a long, long time to come. But he's broken every record in the book. He's got a few quid in the bank. He's got a loving wife and 2 kids, some lovely homes. He's got the rest of his life in front of him. I think he's done the right thing, but it's going to be very, very difficult for him to replace in his life what Formula One has done for him.
What has set him apart? What has been the particular talent that you've had the privilege of describing for so many years?
I think a gigantic application to every aspect of his craft, in much the same way as Ayrton Senna had. They were unique. And Schumacher's had this wonderful ability to weld a team around him. He's been an inspired leader. He's never said a word against the team in public, but he gives them a lot of stick when he feels he has to if things haven't gone well. He's been a wonderful ambassador for the sport, and as I say, I'm sad to see him go, but all good things come to an end.
And a wonderful ambassador for Ferrari as well. The team love him, Monza loves him, every Italian fan loves him, that's quite clear. And let's not forget that he really came into the team at a stage when it was rather in the doldrums, and he helped turn them round.
Yeah, he did, but what Murray says, he puts a package of people around him. He knows what he needs, he gets the tools in the toolbox, and then he goes to work. And for me, I'd say Schumacher's the most complete racing driver. And when I mean that, I mean he does do everything around the car, in the car, outside of it. He gets everything done to do one thing, and that's win. May not be the best racing driver in my opinion, but Sunday afternoons, Saturdays, Fridays, he's the most complete guy. But for sure he's the best champion. I mean, I don't think in my lifetime we're going to see anything else like it, for sure.
Well, his legacy might yet be an 8th world title, but what should be his future role within Formula One and Grand Prix racing?
Very difficult to say, because he's going to have to replace the adrenaline of racing and winning and breaking records and leading the team with something which inevitably is going to be pretty humdrum after what he's done. He may be an ambassador for Fiat, he may be an ambassador for Ferrari, he might even be an ambassador for the FIA. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Not much, but they have.
He'd be a good one.
Yes. I don't know, Steve. He can't keep on playing football against his local Swiss team, but I'm sure he'll find something, but it's never going to be the same.
What were your impressions of the way he performed today? So many people in the last couple of seasons have been saying that the edge has gone as far as Schumacher is concerned. That wasn't evident today. It hasn't been evident this season.
I've never heard such a lot of arrogant rubbish in my life. The man is a genius. He continues to be a genius, and he's done exactly the right thing to go out on the very highest possible note.
When you win 7 World Championship titles, you don't have to be popular. You've achieved everything that you set out to achieve. But could Michael have achieved a little bit more in terms of his profile within the sport and selling the sport to a wider audience?
Yeah, actually, I don't think so, Steve. I think if you look at Michael Schumacher, he's been a great ambassador for Formula One. You know, and this guy as well, he's been out into many areas which have got huge problems on a global scale. He's an ambassador for a lot of big charities. He's sold himself as a very professional sports person, and you know, at the end of it, he's a role model. All the youngsters coming through now, I think they can look up to Michael Schumacher and know what they need to do to succeed. at the end of all of this, he's a great driver, and all of us in this paddock will talk about him for years to come. But I hope he will come back here in some role, whatever that may be. But Murray said, difficult situation to fill that big void in his life.
He's done a few tough, hard things in his life. Damon Hill, 94, Jacques Villeneuve, 97, immediately spring to mind. Maybe stopping in the qualifying at Monaco wasn't the wisest thing he ever did. But you've got to have a streak of ruthlessness to get right to the top in Formula One. He's certainly got it. I don't think it's going to diminish his reputation long term. It's going to be bright and shining as far as I'm concerned anyway.
Murray, thank you very much indeed. Everyone, of course, is clamouring around the paddock here to add their thoughts to Michael Schumacher's retirement, to add their tributes, and I think Ted Kravitz has got Sir Jackie Stewart.
Yes, Sir Jackie, I mean, my question is, do you think it's the right time?
Yes, I think it's the right decision at the right time, and I couldn't be happier for him being able to announce after winning a Grand Prix in a Ferrari in Italy that he was going to retire as a racing driver. And I think he has every chance of finishing up the season as world champion. So I think he drove a wonderful race. I think the car performed and it was reliable. And I think he should be a very happy boy tonight and be able to sleep very comfortably.
Do you share the view that by signing Kimi Räikkönen, Ferrari have effectively pushed him out, fallen out of love with Michael?
I don't think so. They were looking after their business. They should have a succession plan. And you've got to have a good driver for a good car with a budget like Ferrari have. If I were Luca Montezemolo, I would want to have another driver potentially as good as Schumacher in the team in order to have the continuity of success that team requires and his company demands.
Okay, thanks very much, Sir Jackie. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Ted, but amidst it all and amidst all the reverberations of the announcement that Michael Schumacher is to retire, we've got an outstanding Italian Grand Prix to reflect on. It was a victory by Michael Schumacher and Ferrari of superb authority. Schumacher from Räikkönen, the man who will replace him, and we'll hear that officially quite shortly from Ferrari. Kimi Räikkönen taking second behind Schumacher, and then a first podium finish for Robert Kubica. Fisichella, Jenson Button, Rubens Barrichello, Trulli and Nick Heidfeld completing the point scorers, and the most meaningful absentee from that list is the name of Fernando Alonso. Blown engine denied him any points today, and that means that his lead in the Drivers' Championship is now down to a mere 2 points over Schumacher with 3 Grand Prix remaining. Much remains to be discussed when we return in a few minutes.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power. F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power.
Monza is buzzing. It's been victory in this Italian Grand Prix for Michael Schumacher. He's cut Fernando Alonso's World Championship lead to a mere 2 points. But now after the race, confirmation from Schumacher that he is to retire from the sport at the end of the season. What we're awaiting is any official reaction from Ferrari and thoughts about Ferrari's plans for next season. We can get those now from Ross Brawn, who's with Louise.
Well, Ross, it's now official. He's leaving.
Yeah, I think we all, I mean, we knew it was happening, but we all need a little bit of time to reflect on it. Now it's official. Obviously very sad, but yeah, it's good to see Michael leave in such a strong position. I would have hated to see him sort of fade off into the sunset, and he's leaving, mounting its very strong challenge for the championship. So very sad on the one hand, but it's I'm glad it's coming about this way.
You knew it was coming. You were probably waiting for that announcement that came on the radio to the team. What did he say to you all?
Well, it's private really, but just thanking everyone, and he, obviously all of us are quite emotional about it, but he had some very nice messages to give everyone in the team.
There were a lot of tears around the Ferrari garage today, clearly a sign of how much you're going to miss him. Yeah,
it is the end of an era, and he's a very tough sportsman. You all know that, but he's a lovely guy, and we see the other side of Michael that maybe a lot of people don't see, and he's a very popular guy.
Well, let's talk about the future. Kimi Räikkönen joining the team, signed up for 3 years to partner Massa. Yeah,
no, I mean, when you know, we had to look at the structure for the future. Kimi was one of the guys, obviously, who was key to it. So I think there's 3 guys in Formula 1, and he's definitely one of them. And so we're very pleased to have him. And Felipe's doing a great job. Today didn't work out so well for him for various reasons, but he showed at the last race what he can do. So very sad to lose Michael, but very happy to be gaining Kimi.
Thank you.
So Kimi Räikkönen now officially confirmed as a Ferrari driver for next season. The regrets, and there are many around the paddock at this moment, one of the big regrets is that we're not going to see Schumacher alongside Räikkönen in the Ferrari lineup. It would have been a dream pairing. Who was most resistant to it, do you feel?
I don't think there was really a resistance to any of it in terms of preparing. Certainly from Schumacher's point of view, I think you could line him up against anybody and he'd welcome it. But I think, as it was said then by Ross Brawn, it's thinking about the future. Ferrari need to make sure they've got a strong future, and Kimi Räikkönen definitely is one of the guys you'd have in your race car any weekend. So yeah, definitely a good decision for the future.
Big day for Ferrari. The big man is here, Luca Di Montezemolo, and that's quite a rare thing for race day. We can hear from him in just a second. He'll be with Louise, and I think Louise is trying to get alongside him right at the moment. But in the meantime, well, Willy Weber has been Michael Schumacher's long-term manager down the years. He's guided him through everything, including this retirement decision. Before hearing from Luca, let's hear from Willy.
Well, Willy, you came into Formula 1 with Michael. You had to share hotel rooms. You had to support him all the way. Just your feelings today.
Well, it's very mixed feelings. 50% I'm happy, and 50% a little bit sadness, you know, because it was wonderful years with many success, and but it's life. This is an area, Schumacher, it's ending, and we look and see what's going on, what we do next.
You know him better than anyone else. Why has he taken this decision to retire?
Well, I don't want to speak anything in the moment. We should listen to the press conference, and then we know what he's saying.
He says on the press conference, in the release, that he's going to spend more time with his kids. That's so important with him, isn't it?
Well, I don't think this is the main reason. I think the main reason is also that he's not has the power anymore to make his job 100% what he did until now. This is also a reason to stop.
And a future role with Ferrari, perhaps?
We will stay in the big family with Ferrari. What we do exactly there, we have no clue in the moment. We will know this end of the year.
What do you think Michael Schumacher's role with Ferrari in the future could be then?
I think it'll be a global ambassador for the brand, you know, but I'm sure it will be something which will be enjoyable for him, obviously, and he'll be at many Grand Prix to come in a different capacity. But you know, the main thing for me, race driver-wise, looking at it, is you know, we hope he gets to the end of the season, he's going to walk away in one piece. He's a family guy, self-preservation built into all of it, Steve, and I think that decision has definitely been borne in mind, because you know what he's saying is he can't commit himself 100% for the future in terms of what he has to put in to get the results, and it's a wise decision. And
he could also walk away as world champion, of course. Luca Di Montezemolo is proving just a little bit elusive, no great surprise there. One further thought on the future lineup, though. Räikkönen and Massa, they can have great confidence in Felipe Massa from now on, can't they?
We already know Massa's a Grand Prix winner. We know Kimi Räikkönen's certainly a Grand Prix winner. Räikkönen wants to win world championships. That's what he's all about. Massa would love to be in that situation as well, and I think they've both got a great team around them with Ferrari. What interests me is whether the team of people now stay at Ferrari would have been influential in Schumacher's career and his results. Maybe Ross Brawn's a lot of discussion that he may leave for a year or go away completely. So this is also another interesting point.
But in terms of the World Championship, Fernando Alonso still remains the man to be caught. He's had a weekend to forget.
He's had a tough weekend, and at the end of all of it comes this. You know, he's on the main straight, engine lets go, and you know that he's sitting in there and he's just thinking, what else do I need to do, and what else is going to go wrong for me, because the last couple of months have been very tough indeed. At this point, he's out the race. Schumacher wins it, and it gets diminished in the World Championship by down to 2 points. It's a tough call. Massa very lucky also at this point, because he couldn't see anything with that smoke coming off. He got away with it, but very fortunate. You just see there, Steve, completely blind. He's got nowhere knowing where he's going to turn in. Safe thing to do, just run across the grass.
And he'd driven brilliantly in qualifying yesterday with all the problems that he had in the second half of the race today. Well, he was heading for a podium, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely so, definitely so. You know, different pressures. Alonso with the pressures coming on his shoulders and still driving under those. And think about Schumacher driving with in the back of his mind that he's going to retire and still getting the job done. That just shows the quality of the man.
Pressure on Renault, that's for sure. Alonso hanging on to his World Championship lead by 2 points, but Renault have surrendered the lead in the Constructors' Championship to Ferrari. Interesting to get the thoughts right now of Pat Simmons.
Well, Pat, we've got ourselves a 3-race World Championship.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? Can be difficult, but yeah, that's what it's about.
So what was that, just a plain engine failure on this new D-spec engine that you brought here?
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know whether it's relevant that it's a D-spec because, of course, we've been running them in testing now, doing 1,400 kilometres with them in the last week. Just one of those things, I think.
We just spoke to Flavio and he said, right, well, now everyone's happy. Do you share his view?
I'm probably not that happy myself.
Okay, thanks.
Always smiling, always optimistic, but he won't be smiling too much when he sees the lead that Ferrari have taken, a 3-point lead in that Constructors' Championship. Of course, Renault defending champions in that respect, defending champions in the Drivers' Championship as well. But what a battle it's going to be over the remaining 3 rounds of this season as we head to China and Japan and Brazil. Quiet weekend in terms of attention from us for Jenson Button, but he's had another decent points finish. Let's hear from Jenson.
Jenson, 5th place, tough race?
Yeah, it was. You know, we expected to be quicker than that in the race. You know, the fuel burning run yesterday and our practice yesterday was reasonably good. I think we just got the pressures completely wrong in the first stint of the race. Had big oversteer, locking the rears up under braking. And the second stint we tried to change the car to help that, but it didn't work. And the pace wasn't there all day really. So it's a bit disappointing. And lucky to get 5th really.
Our race winner Michael Schumacher's just announced his retirement. What's your thoughts on that?
It's it's easy to say now, but if he won the race today, I think it was quite obvious he was going to retire. He's got 10 points on Alonso, 2 points behind the championship. He thinks he's got a really good chance. So it's taking a little bit of a risk there, but it was pretty obvious he was going to do it this race.
How much will we miss him in Formula One?
He's the most. He's the most experienced driver in the pit lane, but he's also the driver that's achieved the most ever in Formula One history. So, it's always nice to have someone with that experience and won that much and still involved in Formula One when you're racing. But he'll leave and someone else will come in and take his place at Ferrari, and they're still going to have a very strong team. So next year it's still going to be a very competitive season.
Cheers, gents.
It's always a tough question for drivers on the grid these days. How much are they going to miss Michael Schumacher? What will they miss about him?
Well, I think they will miss the class of the driver. I mean, they've got a great deal of respect for him. Everybody down the pit lane, everyone is driven against him because they know what he's achieved and what it takes to get there. So, I think what they're saying is, everybody will miss him. But don't forget, the guy's a genius, but there's some little chinks in his armour now and again, and sometimes we all go down here and sort of can't quite understand where it's at. But that's the case with all geniuses, Steve. The good thing for us now is that he's going at the top of his game, and I think that's just a great thing. Such a tough guy to get on with. Who has got on with him best around modern Formula One? Probably his brother to start with, but but there you go. Maybe even that situation we've seen over the past few years has been difficult to understand. But no, I think he's just focused, and that kind of focus sometimes alienates him from people. Within the team he's loved, and the relationship with all of the guys around him is a great one. He just doesn't get to show it sometimes outside, but that's the way he needs to go to work. He's cleared his head now. He's got this decision out of the way. He will be absolutely focused for the remaining 3 races of the season. In points terms, the advantage lies with Alonso, but genuinely, where do you think the advantage lies? Genuinely, I think at this point, Schumacher has the upper hand. His retirement has been announced. The pressure's off from there. Alonso's on his back foot with numerous things going the wrong way for him. Engine blown up, that's a reliability issue, that's coming into play. Ferrari is strong, confident, they know what they've got coming out in development. I think Schumacher may well do it again. It's just a sneaky little feeling. It's going to be tough, but I think it's there. OK, more reaction to today's news and more reaction from Renault. Let's hear from Flavio Briatore.
Flavio, your thoughts, first of all, on today's race, the result and what it means for the championship for Fernando?
I mean, you know what, Fernando's still in front. And, if we're talking about sport, I don't think we have any problem. I mean, a failure of the engine is supposed to happen, happen and it's fine. I mean, Now the rest is a problem, you know, when it's interfering in the sport. Only like that we accept, it's no problem. We're still in front, we go in China, we're fighting. But, you know, it's the other one, it's difficult to fight with.
Well, the man you're fighting against, Michael Schumacher, has just announced that he's retiring at the end of the season from competitive driving, a man you know very well. What are your thoughts on that?
He may have a lot of help this year, and you know, Formula 1 helped Michael a lot. Not only Formula 1, but everybody helped Michael a lot. Lucky guy.
How much will we miss him?
I don't miss him at all.
Thanks, Flavio.
Well, there's your answer to the question that we just posed, how much will Formula 1 miss him? But he does have his fans, and he does have his admirers, he does have his supporters. We started the afternoon with all the Renault anger about the relegation down the grid of Fernando Alonso from 5th to 10th. Will that still be bubbling on?
I think it will. I definitely think it will, because, you know, it may well happen again. As I say, with 3 races left to go, that same situation could happen again in qualifying for sure. It may well affect somebody else differently, but it is something that has to be considered, and I'm sure there will be a great deal written up about it after this, and there'll be some reflections.
How will the sport reflect on it? How will the stewards reflect on it? We had a fascinating exchange on the grid between Martin Brundle and Max Mosley, whose opinions, let's say, were polarised, the two extremes, but there sort of was some common ground. They both support what's best for the sport.
There was some common ground. The common ground was they both sort of felt that the opinion was right on both camps. But no, you know, the issue is now, Steve, is that we've got so much data and so much technology now coming out of these cars. It's analysing it, and you can analyse data in several different ways, and there's a lot of outside influences coming against the car and what's going on the circuit, the input from the driver, and can be interpreted and read in several different ways. All I know as a former driver, when I sit there and if I watch what's going on, it relays back quite easily to what I've done in the past and experience-wise, and I think you've heard that from many other different people today. And to me, what we saw didn't have any effect on what went on with that qualifying lap. But, you know, what do I know at the end of the day? Maybe the data is something different. Well, in many ways, Formula 1 has to get it right and be seen to get it right. In many ways, cricket is having a similar problem at the moment with the whole ball tampering thing. It's a similar kind of situation. Let's get back to the motor racing, though. Felipe Massa, his future is assured at Ferrari. Let's hear from Felipe with Louise.
Well, Felipe, you're losing one teammate and gaining another. Tell us, first of all, about the one you're losing, Michael Schumacher.
I think from one hand it's sad. I mean, I will miss him definitely. You know, a fantastic driver, the most complete driver in Formula 1, a fantastic man. We have a great relationship, so I can say that I'm definitely gonna miss him, because he's very special for me as well. On the other hand, I mean, I think every driver would love to be in his position, with 7 titles in his pocket, winning the race and announce his retirement. So I think that's really a dream for whatever driver, and you know, fighting for the 8th championship. So that's really fantastic. I'm sure Formula 1 will miss him, but in the same time, it's fantastic to see a driver like that winning so much, and you know, that's life. I mean, we saw many great drivers like Jack Stewart, like Piquet. Unfortunately, not Senna. And many drivers announced their retirement, and it came other drivers. So hopefully I can be one of these drivers.
Well, Kimi's your future teammate. How do you feel about working with him?
Well, I think it's great for the team. We have 2 good drivers, 2 quick drivers in the Ferrari. So it's very important to put Ferrari in the top still, because it's a great team. I'm sure they are really pushing hard for that. And we have 2 young drivers, which is motivated, pushing hard every race, and I'm ready for this challenge. I think it's very good for me as well, you know, because he's a young like me, and we both need to prove ourselves. You know, we both really want to fight for championships, and I think it's a great opportunity and great challenge for me.
Thanks, and congratulations on your own new deal too.
And more thoughts on Michael Schumacher from a little further down the pit lane. Johnny Herbert raced with him, raced against him, beat him as well at times. Let's hear from Johnny.
Johnny, he was your... Start again. Johnny, he was your teammate. He's now following you into retirement. What are your thoughts on Michael Schumacher's announcement?
Well, I think a lot of people expected this weekend. I think it's a brave decision to do it this early in the season, and he's still got a couple of years left in him. So I think from his point of view, very brave. He's been a great champion because he's achieved a hell of a lot. There are some sort of dark places that have gone on in the past, but at the end of the day, you know, he's the most successful driver we've ever seen, and now he's got time to spend with his family.
Obviously, he wants to retire from the sport as world champion. He's won the race here today. That's helped him to along the road. Do you think he can achieve the championship this season?
Well, I think the chances have got much better today for sure. You know, it's only a couple of points now. We've still got 3 to go, and I think the way they're rolling at the moment, you know, the Bridgestone and the Ferrari is working very well, and we've obviously got Michael now, who's probably more determined than ever to finish it off, and I think he might do that.
Thanks, Johnny.
Well, what we have got is Michael Schumacher for what promises to be a stunning 3-race climax to this season. We go first to China and then Japan. Where does the advantage lie in those races? Renault feel that they're going to be strong in those two.
They do. I think Renault turn up there with a strength of also knowing that the Michelin work particularly well around those circuits. But don't underestimate, for instance, Japan. That track there suits the way that Michael Schumacher drives. Brazil also has been suitable to Ferrari as well. I just think the upper hand lies with Ferrari and Schumacher's shed all his weight and even shed the pressure what's been riding with him all season long. You might even see him step up another gear.
What have we learned also about Kimi Räikkönen during the course of the last few races, today in particular?
You know, Kimi is an excellent guy, a fantastic driver, huge amount of talent and ability. He stepped up to the plate yesterday and carried the car around the circuit to gain pole position. And he drove it wonderfully today. He just doesn't have quite the car underneath him. He goes to Ferrari. Great interest from my side of things because I'm interested to see the difference in characters. Massa, Räikkönen, they're both extremes, but I think Räikkönen will come out on top at the end of it.
But Formula One doesn't leave the Schumacher era any weaker at all.
No, I don't think it does. I think it leaves it, you know, enriched with what we've had. We've had the great days of seeing it. We've had the controversy linked with Michael Schumacher, and you know, we've seen a 7 times world champion, and we've all witnessed it, and it goes into history books. That's not a bad thing.
Well, we'll have further reflections on all today's big stories here in our highlights programme at midnight tonight. But in the meantime, after that, well, it's a big night of football coming up on ITV, of course, as we head into our coverage of the group stage of the Champions League on both ITV1 and ITV4 on Tuesday. ITV4 opening up at 6:30 in the evening, then going into live coverage of Chelsea against Werder Bremen. ITV1 at 7:30, coverage of Liverpool's trip to PSV Eindhoven. And there's UEFA Cup on ITV4 on Thursday. West Ham starting their campaign against Palermo. And then it's back to motorsport next Saturday as we celebrate Lewis Hamilton's tremendous GP2 championship success here at Monza. GP2 next Saturday. Our next Formula One will be the Chinese Grand Prix in 3 weeks' time. Could it be Michael Schumacher heading towards World Championship title number 8? What we do know is it's Michael Schumacher heading towards retirement. One of the greatest careers in Formula One has just 3 races left to run. Bye-bye.
At the end of this year, I've decided together with the team that I'm going to retire from racing. It has been an exceptional, really exceptional time. What motorsport in more than 30 years has given to me. I really loved every single moment of the good and the bad ones. Those ones make life so special.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power.
To find out more about today's race, visit itv.com/F1, sponsored by Shell V-Power.